short line, living for life or living for likes. My name is Pearl Biawadi Sewikun, and I'd like to ask you all a question. Who here doesn't use social media? Please raise your hands. Apps like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, X, or Twitter, if you do not use them, please raise your hands. Well, seeing from the number of hands that have been raised, or lack thereof, apart from that guy over there, I can surmise that a lot of us do use social media. Well, we're not alone, because according to Data Reportal, as of January 2024, there have been 5.04 billion social media users worldwide. That's around 62.3% of the global population. Crazy, right? But it's not a bad thing. Please do not fret. We as a society have come so far in the path of technology that we've even been able to ask artificial intelligence to create pictures like these. Hilarious and adorable. However, it is important to note that with all of the fun and giggles that we get from social media can also act as a cage that traps us and blurs the line between our online and offline life. It blurs the line between our life and the likes. There's been an imbalance in the amount of time and effort that has been spent on our online and offline life, which leads to the blur of the line that barely separates the two lives, which in turn leads to the loss in our sense of reality and identity. Who are we? Are we a real person or just a presence on social media? We start to live not for ourselves but for others instead, and we start to live for the likes, not for our life. Some may start to wonder, what's so good about social media anyways? Well, social media, using it, releases dopamine. Dopamine is known as a feel-good chemical, and the feeling of dopamine being released reinforces the habit of using social media. Did you know that the feeling of dopamine being released all throughout your body is so strong that it is harder to resist tweeting than it is to resist cigarettes and alcohol? Crazy. Along with this, social media also acts as a way for us to stay connected with our long-distance acquaintances. Staying connected is such an important part of remaining a part of the community, and that is why social media is beneficial for all of us in this room. However, there are many downsides to social media as well. The first one could be the lack of privacy that comes with social media. Social media collects all types of personal information, ranging from educational records to health records, to your pictures, your face, your voice. Isn't it terrifying that a stranger who you don't even know could know you inside and out, and you would have no idea about this? Along with this, social media also leads to our disconnection of reality. People who spend most of their time online will sacrifice the time that they could be spending interacting with others face to face. That is because we find some sort of comfort behind the screen. The life that we lead in real life and the life that we want to present on social media have become so intertwined and interconnected that it is basically impossible to have one without the other, because in truth, one does not exist without the other. With social media comes pressure, not the kind of physical pressure that we learned about in health class, where we're being physically cornered by our friends at a party, forcing us to do something that we don't want to do, but the kind of spectral pressure that one feels to keep their life and feed perfect at all times, 24/7, 365. When we make a habit of putting our lives on blast, sharing pictures of us as babies with a hashtag throwback in the caption, yes, that is me, sharing pictures of our healthy breakfasts to show off our healthy eating habits, or even resharing the photos that we took on holiday years ago, it gets kind of hard to break that habit. And even if we do break that habit and break free from the shackles of social media, people will start to wonder if there is something wrong with us. They'll ask questions like, where did you go? You're never active on Instagram anymore. You never replied to my texts. Where have you been? There have been times where I wasn't active on social media for 2 hours, and my friends had sent me frantic messages asking me if I was okay, when in truth, I was just busy. Eventually, all of these questions build up until we're back to square one, overcome by social media, swallowed up by the illusion of who we want to be rather than who we actually are. This isn't an us versus social media issue. Instead, it's an issue of us versus our own usage of social media. Social media is a very, very beneficial tool for all of us, like I said before, but many of us use it incorrectly. It's like using sunscreen on a cold, snowy day. Of course, we learned that sunscreen is important, it's beneficial. But it isn't always necessary, especially on a cold, snowy day. There is a very clear difference between the use and abuse of social media. Unhealthy usage leads to the creation of harmful habits, not only in ourselves, but for others as well. When we lie, pretending that we are something that we are not on social media, people will see these lies. And instead of stopping them, they'll feed into these lies. And they'll even go on with their own lies. And the web of lies goes on and on and on, and the cycle never ends. But we can put a stop to this. We can battle this issue at hand by making habits of many small things in our lives that change our lives as a whole. The 3 steps that I am about to tell you all make up the process. The first step is to accept. Accept that we as a society are addicted. Accept that there should be a line. Accept that we should not cross said line. You yourself may not believe that you are addicted, but I can assure you that someone you know is. The action of accepting that we are addicted is a key that leads to many doors of change and improvement in our lives. The next step is detoxification. This detoxification can range from turning your phone to do not disturb mode, or setting time limits on your phone, or even putting away your phone for hours at a time. These are small steps that you could take to a more balanced life. Another type of detoxification is reconnecting with the society and nature that we live in. The moment that we disconnect from our devices is the moment that we can reconnect with our friends and our family, and we can do this by simply spending more time with our friends and family, or even taking up new hobbies that don't require a screen. Another thing that we can do is to adopt a new mindset, the live in the moment mindset, and I'm sure you've all heard this before. The live in the moment mindset focuses on us focusing on ourselves in the present moment in time and not worrying about what other people will see, what they will say, and what they will think. The moment we let go of that is the moment that we know we are free. To be constantly held up in the past or held up in our imagination of the future, we lose track of the present. Today is a gift. That is why we call it the present, as said by Eleanor Roosevelt. To disregard a single second of it would be a shame. The last step of the process, the cherry on top of the whipped cream, is to continue this habit. Think of it as a really big, intricate puzzle. You're struggling trying to find the pieces. You don't know which corner is which, you don't know which piece goes where. You're lost. But then, you look at the picture on the box. That is your goal. Your goal is very clear, and it is right in front of you. Then eventually, all the pieces start coming together. Of course, you'll struggle. You'll stumble, you'll fall. But that is not a bad thing, because you have to keep trying. Because eventually, you and I both know that you will reach the end. Even if you stumble, like I did multiple times in this speech, you will reach the end. And that is what you want. That is what makes your life good and balanced. With just the sole experience of solving this one puzzle, you can solve many other puzzles in your life. Just acknowledging the pros and cons of social media and acknowledging your own habits is already an achievement. And if you follow the 3 steps that I just told you, you are well on your way to a life of balance. The blurred line between illusion and fact, reality and imagination, online and offline, life and likes will soon start to unblur, and that is when you know you have found balance. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.